Hello and welcome to Thrifty Tones. Today is the day I finally finished it, my ESP LTD project. I'm so made up with how this guitar has turned out. It looks and sounds absolutely fantastic. And would you believe this has only set me back £165 from start to finish this entire project. I'm made up with that. It's really cool. So in this video I want to show a quick build diary of how I've refinished the guitar, all the steps that I've gone through to do it, and also run down those costs as well and how I got to that £165 figure. But just look at it, it looks so cool. I'm really happy with this guitar. I think this one is an absolute keeper now. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So the guitar was an M10, ESP LTD M-10 model. It was I don't think they make them anymore, but it was a starter pack guitar. It came with an amplifier and a tuner and a strap to sort of start getting people into guitar playing. But when I started tearing it down and having a really good look at it, I realised the parts on it were actually really good. The neck was fantastic, it had a really nice grain to it. The body was made of like proper tone wood. I think it's a basswood body. And it just, felt really decent. The more I took it apart, the more impressed I was really with the quality of the components. The machine heads were really good. So yeah, the nut was a bit rubbish, bit of a rubbish piece of plastic. But yeah, the neck just needed a refinish really. So I went about filling the pickup cavity really quickly, a few days after getting the guitar actually, and I just used sort of little dowels and kind of cocktail sticks and bamboo sticks to just fill in all the little holes around the pickup. And I cut a wooden piece to go in the neck pickup and used sort of bamboo skewers just for those little gaps down the side. There's another video on my channel on pickup cavity filling which goes into much more detail about this process, so have a look at there if you're interested. And then it was over to the sander to just get all of that flat, and I will say there was a lot of sanding going on with this guitar. It took forever. Lots of back and forth using Bondo car body filler and just trying to get it as flat as possible, double checking on it and then going back and forth, letting it all settle. So yeah, loads and loads of sanding involved in this particular project. I think if you do want to fill pickup cavities or like change sort of the knob layout on your guitars, sort of fill in the holes and everything, it's quite tricky to do. It takes a little bit of patience to do. I don't think I'll do it again in a hurry. I'm glad I did it with this one, but yeah, lots and lots of going back and forth. But you can see once I started sanding down the guitar, I was really surprised that the wood grain was actually quite nice on it. If I hadn't been filling things in, I would actually almost have been tempted to do a translucent finish on this. It looks really good the more I sanded it back. And then this sort of just shows the Bondo process. So I've just got some car body filler there. Any manufacturers will do any sort of Bondo style product. And I'm just mixing it up and just filling in these little holes. I wanted to get rid of the pickup rings. So I had lots of little bits to just fill in on the body. Lots of little dents and cracks and things that just needed filling and sanding and then refilling and resanding. It's a real back and forth process, all this stuff. And then I just want to show this footage as well, because if you're using Bondo or body filler, don't use a detail sander on it afterwards. You want to be hand sanding that. A sander will just rip it to shreds, so you've got to use sandpaper itself. And then just started to get some primer onto the body. This was really just to check how even everything was, because obviously I've got lots of different surfaces, lots of different colours and things now. So I just wanted to get some white primer on there, just to have a really good look at how flat everything was, and then I could go back, do a little bit more Bondoing, a little bit more sanding. It took ages, all this stuff, but it's well worth taking your time at this stage and getting the wood prep as flat as possible, as good as possible, and just prime it, have a look at it, sand it back, maybe re-prime it. Primer's really cheap as a product, so you can just keep going back and forth and just having a look at it and filling in all those holes that just need filling in, all those uneven surfaces. Okay, so just before I I started doing the Crackle process, when I was happy with the level of the body and the prime surface, I do what's called an overnight coat. So this is basically where I take the base paint that I'm using, which is VHT engine enamel, and I just spray a coat of green, of like the base coat, in this case green, over the top of it, and I let it dry for a good 24 or sometimes 48 hours. I think I did 2 days drying time with this. So it just gives it a solid base for the Crackle to work on. So that's how it was the day before I started painting the Crackle, or 2 days before I started painting the Crackle. So it's just a nice base layer to get started with. Now there is another video showing me doing this process in much more detail. If you have a look on my YouTube channel, I go into really clear detail on how to do that. This is just a very quick build diary of how I went about it. So this is the day of actually putting Crackle on. As you can probably see, I'm spraying really thick coats of VHT engine enamel here, more than you would with any other type of finishing process. I'm actually tilting the guitar upwards so that I can get more onto the surface, and that is a lot of paint there. You can see it almost building up and shining as the light catches it, because it's so thick and so heavy. You wouldn't do this style of painting for any other guitar finish apart from Crackle, but you need thick base coats here. And then after about 4 base coats, I'll move on to adding the Crackle, and again, look how thick that is going on. Really thick. You wouldn't do this with any other type of paint, but to get that really cool Crackle pattern that I've got, you need to be putting on really thick layers of it, and using a heat gun, which I get out in a few moments. So yeah, it's stressful, this bit. Don't panic with it. If you get in a little bit of runoff or a little bit of drips off the side, just keep on going, and honestly, all will be well, hopefully. Just pray at this point. But yeah, it's stressful because you've got to get this paint on really quickly. I've not worked out how to film this without sort of getting in the way, because I'm running around the guitar a lot, but there you go. So yeah, just really thick coats of the Crackle paint all the way over, and I'm still sort of the face of the guitar is still facing the sky, because I want that to cure and I want that to dry before I move it, so I don't get any runoff, because the paint is so thick at this stage. So all the way around the sides, all the way on top, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just doing the same process on the back again. I never get the back quite as good as the front yet. I've not mastered doing the back of the guitar. I don't particularly care, because who sees it, but yeah, something for me to work on anyway in terms of doing my Crackle paint, I think, because I never get the back quite as good. It's always a tighter pattern on the back. I think I was running out of Crackle paint here as well, so yeah, very stressful this. Inside that mask, I am losing my mind. Right, and then on to the heat gun process as well. So the heat gun is really important. If you don't use it, the Crackle will form like a tiled type of pattern, which is really cool and really nice, but it won't give you that gnarly pattern that I've ended up with here. So the heat gun just gives it this sort of like crazy cracking effect, which I love. So it's an essential bit of kit if you're going to do a Crackle paint job and you want it to look like this. But like I say, I do have another video which goes into much more detail and shows every step of this process if you have a look back through my channel. Yeah, more heat gun. Don't go too close with it as well. I'm pretty dangerously close here, but got away with it, and there you go. That was the final product. It's not perfect, but I was really happy with it at this stage. I thought that looks absolutely great, you know, really striking green, gnarly 80s Crackle pattern. So yeah, I was dead happy with that.
Now I lost a bit of footage here showing the initial sanding of the headstock, but I did find this this bit. So just using my detail sander again, just sanding down the headstock as best as I possibly can, and then I did the same process on the headstock. If you're new to Crackle, doing a headstock might be a good starting point. Do the headstock first if you're new to doing it, because it's a good practice, and if you get it wrong you can just redo the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? So it only takes a few minutes to sand it back down and just go for it again, but I think you'll learn a lot in the process. So headstocks are fantastic. If you're doing matching headstocks like I've done on this build, yeah, it can be a really, really good learning process. And then you can just see the crackle forming. It's so satisfying, isn't it? Just watching that just appear like that. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. And that's the final crackle. You will see over like the next few hours as it dries, new little bits forming, so it is always changing. You've got to leave it for a long time after you've done a crackle finish. And then it's always a good idea to remove tape just as the guitar is drying a little bit. So I did this sort of maybe like 20 minutes after that initial spray, after all that crackle's formed, just start getting the tape off. And then after a few clear coats on the headstock, I added the water slide decal. I always like to use water slide rather than vinyl decals. I just find they're a much finer decal and much easier to bury under lacquer after you've done. So this was an LTD one. I can't remember what the shop was, the online store I got this from, but you can just see I've really wet the surface, and you just slide the cardboard out the way. You don't want to mess around with it too much, just get it in place and then dry it off as best you possibly can. Be really gentle because they're very, very thin. And then leave that to dry for a few days. There we go. And looking absolutely brilliant. And then just showing my wet sanding process. I didn't actually shoot any of me spraying clear onto the guitar because it's all quite boring. You know, there's a million videos on how to shoot clear, but you need loads and loads of coats of clear. I've still got quite a textured finish on this instrument. It's not completely glossy and flat, but I'm absolutely fine with that. It takes forever to get it flat, so I was happy with it as it was. So yeah, slightly textured, as you can see there. And then I needed to sort out these frets because they had real dents in them, so I just did a really thorough fret level with it. So just make sure your neck is really straight on this. That would be my key advice. You can't go wrong if the neck is absolutely perfectly. If you've adjusted the truss rod and measured it so that it's absolutely straight, and then just went through and just made sure those frets were really level, and I got rid of nearly all of the marks and dints on it. They look really good now, the frets. There you go. I've turned the audio off for this because it's a really annoying sound. The grinding of metal is not a pleasant thing. And in the end, after doing loads of wet sanding, I use Meguiar's Ultimate Compound and Ultimate Polish as well, just to get that final shine. But you can see it is quite textured in there. I really like the look. I think you can, break your back a little bit trying to get it completely flat and glossy. Actually, a textured look is good. And then I used Tru-Oil on the neck, sanded that down, added Tru-Oil. I think I did about 10 coats of Tru-Oil with steel wool in between. And then I used the absolutely incredible solderless wiring system for the EMG 81 pickup, which I just love. That solderless system. It's so good. Why is it not on all pickups? It's absolutely incredible. It took me half an hour to get that wired up, and it's just easy, straightforward. There you go. So getting close to finish now, and that's the final reveal shot. I managed to put I put Diodario 11s to 56 strings on because it's in drop C tuning. It sounds like an absolute monster. I'm really, really happy with how it's turned out. Managed to keep all the serial numbers and everything. I thought, rather than sanding those off, I wanted to keep them. And yeah, you can see that wood grain in the neck there. So yeah, really, really pleased with how it turned out. It's not perfect, the finish, as you can see on the back, but really, really chuffed with it.
So there it is, folks. That's how I've done this whole project. It's been really, really cheap. I think starting off at that £35 purchase of the original, mess that I bought has just been the best part about it. I mean, £35 for an ESP LTD is just unheard of, isn't it? You just don't really see those sort of deals all the time. So it's not maybe something that people can maybe copy this, but I hope it inspires people to maybe think about doing their own Crackle finishes, because like I say, it's my second one now. My Jackson Performers turned out really nice, and this one's turned out really nice. I'm following the same principles each time, and I'm sort of saying to people, you can do it. I'm getting really nice messages from people who just said, followed your videos, followed your instructions, and it's turned out absolutely brilliantly, and they've sort of sent me images of what they produced. It's absolutely cool, so I do hope it inspires people to have a go. It sounds like Art Attack or something, but have a go at their own sort of, Crackle project. So yeah, really, really pleased with the Crackle. It's not perfect, there are little bits where it's a little bit tighter just on the edge. There's some bits where it's kind of gone through a little bit to primer on the back as well, and it's a little bit tighter on the back as well. But in terms of the front of the instrument, that is for me perfect Crackle. It's not too big, it's not too small. Definitely that's not that really tight, Crackle you see sometimes when people have done DIY jobs. It's just absolutely perfect. I love the look of the guitar. I look at it all the time. It's just brilliant, and it plays really nicely. That Tru-Oil neck, I just think that is such a game changer for budget instruments. I'm always talking about neck finishes, aren't I, on my channel? I think it's your connection with the guitar, and if the finish on the neck is something like nitrocellulose or Tru-Oil, for me, it just gives a more luxurious feel when you're playing it. It makes the guitars seem a little bit more expensive. So I think taking cheap guitars that have got those really thin polyurethane rub finishes like Squiers sometimes do, and just refinish it in Tru-Oil can be a real game changer. It can make it seem so much more than it actually is. In terms of modifications then, what have we got here? Well, I actually kept quite a few of the parts on this, and this is absolute testament to ESP LTD. I know in my original video when I bought the guitar I was quite disappointed because it wasn't a guitar, it was just a project. But in terms of the hardware, I've actually kept the bridge, because the bridge is one of those Tune-O-Matic bridges. It's a very uncomplicated piece of engineering that, I don't really... If someone wants to explain to me what the benefit of putting a Goto version of that in there is, I mean, it might be heavier metal, maybe a bit more sustained, but it works absolutely fine. And there's no sort of bend in the middle of it or anything like you sometimes get over time with them. It's a really simple through string setup, this, so it doesn't need loads of modifications at the bridge like a Floyd Rose would do. In terms of the frets, obviously doing that fret level has got rid of those little notches in the frets as well, so it didn't need a refret, which I was really pleased about. Saved me loads and loads of work. And then controversially, in terms of tuners, well, this might have been, ESP LTD starter pack guitar. It was like the heavy metal version of a Squier SE, really. But I've kept the machine heads because they are nice. They're the same machine heads you get on the lower end LTDs, like the 250s and stuff. They feel great. They feel quite heavy, quite good quality metals. So I might get locking ones later on just to speed up string changes, but to be honest, restringing the guitar takes so little time with that through body stringing. It's like a metal Telecaster, it's like a Telecaster's evil cousin. But yeah, it just feels so nice to play. It's really, really comfortable. Absolute credit to ESP LTD for pumping out really cheap guitars with brilliant feeling necks. I mean, look at the grain on that neck. So thanks so much for watching, folks. Do think about liking and subscribing. I'm going to do loads more finishing as much as I can before winter hits. I've got loads of content planned as well, so this one has taken me a little bit of time, but I think it's been worth it in the end. I'm just so happy with how it's turned out and how it plays and how it feels. It's just a lovely, simple, brilliant drop C chug fest. So please do hit the like and subscribe buttons if you want to see more interesting guitar finishes, and I will see you very soon. Many thanks.